Seemingly out of nowhere, the Commanders were dealt a huge blow to their NFL draft hopes. But how and why did this happen, and how does it affect who they will take as their next cornerstone piece? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to talk about some big developments at the college level that are going to have a very, very large impact on who the Commanders end up taking with the 7th overall pick in the NFL draft, assuming that they don't trade back or even trade up from that pick. Some really big news that does call into question if the Commanders will be able to draft an elite defensive prospect, whether that be Rueben Bain, David Bailey, Caleb Downs, or even if you want Jeremiah Love, he might be off the board as well. So we're going to jump into exactly what happened and why it is so relevant to the Commanders, even though it also had absolutely nothing to do with them. So a very cool story lined up today for you guys, but before we get into it, make sure that you do hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. Like the video as well, that's the easiest way to support me. And make sure, as always, you jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this video. After we talk about the draft update, we are going to talk about the quarterback coach, why DJ Williams ended up being the player, or the person who was chosen to fill the vacant spot. And then we're also going to go over the defensive coordinator timeline. The Commanders interviewed another defensive coordinator candidate today. I'm having word salad today. Words are tough. The Commanders interviewed another defensive coordinator candidate today, and we've got a little bit of a timeline that now suggests the whole process might be taking longer than the team had previously anticipated. But let's start this off with the NFL draft. So on Wednesday, Oregon quarterback Dante Moore announced that he would be returning as a member of the Ducks for his senior season. The general belief was that not only would he be the second quarterback off the board, but he would presumably go second overall to the New York Jets. If he is no longer coming out, I don't anticipate a team reaching to take Ty Simpson inside the top 7. Now, it could happen. They could fall in love with him in the pre-draft process, pro days, combines, interviews, all that stuff. It very well could happen. But the way things are set up right now, again, the general expectation was that Dante Moore was going to go second overall, and Ty Simpson, although most scouts have a first-round grade on him, would probably fall somewhere in the 20 range. The Steelers at 21 had been a popular target to take him. So with him gone, it's now anybody's guess who the Jets are going to take and what domino effect that's going to have, and ultimately who will still be on the board when the Commanders go to make their pick. So I simmed a couple of mock drafts at Pro Football Focus just to see who would be available when the Commanders picked at 7. I didn't even pick anybody. I just wanted to see what the top 6 picks were, and then I reset it. So in 2 of those 3, all of the big defensive guys were off the board. In 1 of them, Rueben Bain was available. In 2 of them, I believe David Bailey went 4th, and he was gone in all 3 of them. So David Bailey on the rise, while Rueben Bain seems to be falling. Now again, this is just one source, but it was interesting. Tankathon still has the Commanders drafting Caleb Downs 7th and David Bailey falling to 10th. And The Athletic put out a mock draft earlier today, which had us taking David Bailey, but it also had Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, and Rueben Bain all going after we made our pick of David Bailey. That happened because 2 receivers and 2 tackles were picked before we made our selection. So the big questions to figure out who's going to be available for the Commanders. Number 1, does Jeremiah Love go anywhere before us? Number 2, how many receivers are taken? Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 2? It's not going to be 3, but it could be as many as 2, could be as few as 0. And then how many tackles are taken? There's a general belief that at least one of them is going to go. Whether you want Fana, whether you want Mayaga, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I really don't know. It's a complicated last name. Whether you want one of those 2, okay, but do both of them go? That heavily impacts who will be available for the Commanders. So looking at this team by team, the Raiders have the first pick. They're taking Fernando Mendoza. You might as well write it down and throw it away. The Jets could take pretty much anybody. Recently, Arvell Reese has made a resurgence. Experts are predicting he'll go to the Jets second now that Dante Moore is back in college, but we will see. The Cardinals could take pretty much anybody. They could take a tackle. They could take a running back. They could take an edge player. They could take Caleb Downs. They could take Arvell Reese. The Titans at 4, probably going to go with an edge, whoever they prefer between Rueben Bain and David Bailey, but there's a chance to take a receiver too to help support Cam Ward. The Giants at 5, probably going wide receiver or Caleb Downs. They do not need an edge rusher. The Browns at 6, they could take Jeremiah Love, they could take a receiver, they could take a tackle, they could take an edge, they could take a linebacker in Arvell Reese. And then that leaves us. So there's been no real intel about who the Commanders are targeting, aside from Adam Peters said that he wants to upgrade the edge position. And that is basically a given. He didn't even need to say that for us to know it. He didn't specify if that was going to happen in free agency, the draft, or via trade. But what I've said before is that you can never count on the draft unless you're picking like 1, 2, maybe 3. In the draft, you're supposed to enter with all of the holes in your roster filled out, and then you just supplement the talent that you have with the draft. So I don't think Adam Peters, especially in light of this Dante Moore news, I don't think that he's just not going to sign anybody and then come right back and say, okay, David Bailey, praying to God that you're here in the draft. Oh no, the Titans took you and Ruben Bain is gone too. Oh, I guess we just don't have an edge rusher this year. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Now, if we are in this situation where all the top defensive guys are gone, and I've been huge on this, I've been saying we need to draft defense. Whether it's Bailey, whether it's Bain, whether it's Downs, I want one of them. I've said that for a long time now, and I stand by it. If all of the big defensive guys are off the board, it becomes an interesting thought experiment for me. Because a lot of people are going to say Jeremiah Love, and I can understand why, but he might be off the board before we pick as well. So I'm either trading back to take Sonny Styles, assuming Sonny Styles isn't in jeopardy of being taken before the spot where we trade back to, or I'm taking a receiver, and right now I'm still doing my receiver evaluations because it's tight between Cardinal Tate and Jordan Tyson and Makai Lemon, but Makai Lemon is my number one. So if I'm staying there and picking, I'm looking at Makai Lemon or Sonny Styles, honestly. I mean, you could stay and pick one, you could trade back for him. There's a lot that still needs to unfold, but those are the guys that I'll be looking at if all the top defensive prospects are off the board. But again, the thing that I wanted to just lay out there for you guys is there's going to be a big ripple effect because this is already a relatively light draft class. You kind of just pencil in the best quarterbacks in the class at the top of the board. One of them is now gone. And seemingly there's a chasm between Mendoza and then Simpson and everybody else, but we will see what happens. An update on the quarterback coaching situation. So as I said in my video earlier today, the Commanders hired quarterback coach DJ Williams, the former quarterback coach of the Atlanta Falcons and the son of Doug Williams. Now, many people wondered why we didn't go after the Panthers assistant quarterback coach Mike Bercovici, who did cross paths with Jaden Daniels at Arizona State. Well, today he was just promoted to the passing game coordinator. So it's possible that was in the works. It's possible that it happened after we said we didn't want to sign him. Don't really know, but I'm just throwing it out there that it's not like we just completely ignored the guy. Something was going on behind the scenes. On to the defensive coordinator. That was a quick update. On the defensive coordinator situation. So originally the team had wanted to be on the timeline of having everything figured out by the weekend. It now seems like that might not be possible. We might need to wait a little bit longer than expected. I will run you through the candidates and you'll be able to pick up the picture why. So yes, we had Patrick Graham and some other guys beforehand, but the recent candidates, the people who were recently in the building, recent targets, we're just going to go over those guys. I got 5 of them written down. So Brian Flores, first and foremost. We already know that he interviewed for the Ravens head coaching job, our defensive coordinator job, and this weekend he has an interview for the Steelers head coaching job. Also, the Vikings are working to get him back in their building. So the Ravens are obviously a very interesting position. I have a feeling that they're going to want to go more offense just because they have Lamar Jackson. And I'm not saying there isn't merit to supporting your great quarterback with your defense. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. It's just my inclination. It's just how I feel. I could be 100% wrong in that. The Steelers one is interesting because obviously Brian Flores seems to fit the ethos. He seems like a Mike Tomlin sort of guy, so why not replace Mike Tomlin with Brian Flores? You know, tough-nosed, no-nonsense, defense first, respectable, accountable, intense. It seems like a Steelers hire. I also think they might want to pivot because with Mike Tomlin, they were spending the most money in the NFL on their defense, and some of, if not the least money on their offense. So Chris Shula is somebody who is the current bookmaker's favorite to land that job. It's somebody who makes sense for them. If they go through this interview process and they ultimately settle on him and say, yeah, he seems like a good candidate, I could easily see them making that hire. It's also the Steelers, and we got to keep in mind, they don't mind going off the beaten path. And Brian Flores is the beaten path. I don't say that disrespectfully. I'm saying like that's the mainstream. Everybody's going, oh, hire Brian Flores, he'd be great. So the Steelers don't mind deviating off of that course. And then it could be down to the Vikings retaining him or us having a chance at him. And that's a 50-50 there. And that's inherently better than the 10% chance most fans probably think that the Commanders have. So that's Brian Flores. Jonathan Gannon interviewed for the Commanders' defensive coaching job today. He also interviewed for the Cowboys' defensive coordinator job 2 days ago, and he has the Titans' head coaching job interview on Sunday. Now, the general belief amongst the reporters right now is that the Titans are hiring Matt Nagy, which is a horrible decision, and they will live to regret it, but it does sound like that's the direction they're moving in, at least right now. So that would seemingly make it a 50-50 between the Cowboys and the Commanders if he has his choice. There's no guarantee those teams do choose him, but 2 teams would be in the running for him if the Titans are removed from that. Carl Scott, I believe we were the only team to interview him for defensive coordinator. I could be wrong. I looked for it and I didn't see it. But although I did see some people mention that it's possible he does land more interviews, so we'll see what happens there. Raheem Morris. This is someone that the Commanders have reportedly been interested in from the start. It makes sense because there is a connection there with Dan Quinn. However, all the indications are that Raheem Morris doesn't mind going to television if he doesn't find a head coaching job in a situation that he likes. So in some ways, he's almost removed himself from consideration, saying, hey, if I don't get a head coaching job, I'll just go to TV for a while. And we don't have a head coaching job, so he could be completely out of the running. And then Morris's defensive coordinator, who is still employed by the Atlanta Falcons, Jeff Ulbrich. The Falcons are effectively waiting to hire their new head coach and then say, hey, we got Jeff Ulbrich right here, wrapped up for you, waiting. What do you think? You like him? And they're basically going to recommend him / say we have him available, and then the head coach will make their decision based on that. But if the Commanders go through this, let's just say there's a world where Gannon chooses the Cowboys and Flores gets hired to be the Ravens head coach, and then it's Scott, and Morris goes to TV, it's Scott and Ulbrich. Well, the Commanders might just be sitting around like, hey, Jeff, you're our choice, but we kind of just got to wait. We got to wait for the Falcons to make their head coaching hire, and then that coach will make a decision on Ulbrich, and that will give us clarity on our search. But for all of these reasons, you can see why the whole process is probably going to take longer than they had first anticipated. Because Flores has a head coaching job this weekend. Gannon has a head coaching job or interview, this weekend. We're still waiting to find out what Raheem Morris exactly wants to do. He's waiting on head coaching news as well. So it's a process that we all want to get done quickly, but unfortunately, with just the sheer amount of openings that there are out there, that's probably not realistic. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, again, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and as always, please go to the comment section and leave me your thoughts on everything that we covered in this video. I'm head out of here. I appreciate y'all joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.